Andy Gray. Some of the various artists I've worked with have been from Tori Amos to Ian Brown and Paul Oakenfold. I used to do a lot of writing with Paul Oakenfold, so quite a wide selection of stuff. Some of the films I've worked on have been the remakes of Get Carter, Time Cop. I've done a lot of sync stuff for Born Identity, Natural Born Killers. Wrote the score for Swordfish, the electronic side of the score for Swordfish. Well, I'm halfway through the Hard-Fi album. I just finished the Enter Shikari album last year, which I was really pleased with. The Hard-Fi album probably take me up to the end of the summer, and I've got a couple of my own projects to do, which will take me up to the end of the year. I was visiting Sterling or Psycho years ago, and I met a guy, Ross, and he had a pair of prototype M1s. They weren't finished, and I did some testing on them. I really liked them, and then me and my friend bought serial numbers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I wish I still had them today. I don't know what I've done with them now, but I haven't got them. But we got those. I think ended up using them to death. Playing them so loud, and we ended up buying a pair of Dynaudio M1s, released versions, and then moved over. I moved my setup was in a very small room with my M1s, and I moved over to a bigger room and went to M1.5s, tried them out, and they seemed to sound the same as the M1, just louder and bigger in the bigger room. And I really like those as well. And then I moved over to M2s, probably 8 to 10 years ago, can't quite remember. And again, I moved room to where I am now, and it just weren't quite loud enough. So I actually got the active, which is under the desk, the big, large active subwoofer, the original one they did, which is a really big one. And a couple of great things on Dynaudio, you can actually watch the bass cones move, which is one of the ways I mix. So you can put your filters in. If you see the bass cone flickering or creasing, but it's not a loud sound, and you can, 9 out of 10, there's too much sub on there, so you can just wind that off. Just find the sound of them really easy on the ear. With the sub in as well, they go really loud, so if you're with a band and they want to play loud, which is normally what they want to hear it back loud, they cut in and they're really, really accurate. It doesn't sound like there's a sub in there, they just sound bigger. But just a really good sounding speaker. I can't imagine not using them as my main monitor, to be honest. If I ever get a big enough room, I'll get M4s. My favourite of all the Dynaudio is the M4, and I just haven't got a room big enough. You can mix on them all day. I don't do much switching. I do have a very close field monitor as well, and I just find that it's not like a case of getting in the car or going to listen to them on a different system to check your mixes. The mixes always sound right, always. It's very, very good. They're not too flattering, but they don't hide anything, so you can hear everything that you're doing. Well, that started out actually as a club track. Originally, when I was doing the Get Carter film, I come up with the sound and tinkered around with it, and there's a track called Descents on a few films that was on Get Carter, on the fight scene, and it just evolved into those sort of chord progressions and the sound, which was a Virus plugin. And it was a 12-minute song originally, and it did not have the bit you hear over and over and over that happened 3 times in 12 minutes. It was chopped up and made into a kind of single version by myself, but on the Channel 4. And that's what you hear today, but originally it was a big trance number, great big epic thing. It's going to be interesting not being around. I mean, in some ways, when you're working on the really cool stuff, some people think it's quite quirky that you've written that. I always try and play on the original version if they're going to, so they can hear that it was actually quite cool at one point.